Sorry, I went live too quick. Uh, so for everybody, I really don't like the live format because I can't run, and I can always edit stuff out. But so for everyone that's gonna be joining me or watching this playback, last night I was experiencing some crazy stuff. I what's up, man? I I figured I'd kind of give a little bit more in depth to some of the stuff I was going through, and so you just started on the introduction. I'm gonna be trying to pay a lot more attention to the chat so that it can be more of an open discussion. But last night I went to lay down, and I usually just kind of sleep on my couch with the TV behind me, and there's a chair right there, and it's got my drinks and stuff on it. And I had taken the phone cord out of the wall for some weird reason, and it's a futon, so it folds out. Phone cord sitting here next to this receipt, and my head is right there. And as I'm laying down and relaxing, I felt something weird. I kept seeing things move across the room, which I will get into an in-depth as what it is that I actually see. I mean, it's quite common. It wasn't anything that was new to me because I had experienced it so much before when I talk about all that demonic stuff I went through when I lived in that trailer. But but I kept seeing them, just ignoring them, praying against them, telling them get out the house. You're not welcome here. No fear. I go to shut my eyes. I usually listen to scripture on my TV. I can turn my TV off, but the volume will still play. And I generally let scripture play while I'm sleeping, and and I hear the receipt wrinkle. I don't have central air conditioner units on the other side of the refrigerator, and nothing. It's not that strong. I hear the receipt wrinkle, and the phone cord like pulls towards me, and right in my head at that moment, it's probably deception from the enemy. The clear image of the phone cord being wrapped around my neck, and around all this time, I keep hearing stuff underneath the futon and stuff like that, and fear started to set in. And oh, hi Angela. Sorry, I didn't see that you joined. How's it going? Um, and so I get up and kind of folded the chair back up, and I keep seeing these different things moving around the room, and I'm still praying against it and talking to it, but this severe anxiety that I don't normally have whenever that stuff goes on started to set in. I walked outside for a minute. It was kind of late. Both of my neighbors were gone. I think that had a lot to do with it. They all went out of town, and I knew that I was alone. I called some family. I'm like, look, I know it's 11 o'clock. My aunt and uncle live right down the road, and asked if they would come get me, but they were set in. I understood, and I think whatever this was knew that that was the appropriate time. If they can see into our lives, like why wouldn't something know that if I'm looking, that I have help somewhere that like right at the point where they're like, I'm not getting out of bed. You know what I mean? Um, so I'm stuck, and more anxiety is coming over me, and all these thoughts like that's I don't remember exactly what some of the thoughts were, but it was just promoting fear, and I don't think that I've said it before. I don't think that all these thoughts were just mine. I wasn't imagining this stuff up. I was just supporting thoughts that were being spoken to me from a realm where I couldn't physically hear it. So you just see it in your head. You don't see it as something being whispered to you. You get what I'm saying? And and it just got worse and worse and worse. And reading my Bible, and I'm talking to them, but they're not stopping. They kept these things they're always lightning fast. There seems to be, well, maybe not always. There's two of them that move very rapidly, and there's another one that looks more like a familiar spirit type, the ghost apparition. Uh, and that's the one. It would make more sense that it would want you to see it as something. You can't quite make out what it is. You don't recognize it, but it has a human form, sort of. Just like your ghost that you see and television and pictures and stuff like that. And but they always disappear. Again, promoting fear. I know that they can't reach out and touch me. Um, and but it was like they're working together. So the other two, there's one, the dark shadowy figure. Some people call them shadow figures. Black masses, or even sometimes I've seen them as small dots. They can change their shape. There's not any real form to them unless they want to look like a shadow of a person, and they move quickly. And then there's like a white light one, sort of. It's not always luminescent, but there was some luminescence involved because I would be walking around and praying and checking, and it kept using my carnal mind about like being murdered and being harmed, that someone was going to break in. That I do remember. It kept reoccurring, like about physical violence, like just promoting that. And it's funny because I had, if I really believed that, I probably wouldn't have walked outside. But the fear factor was still coming on me. But anyway, I sit down on the couch, and underneath my legs, like from underneath the couch, there's a bright light that just, and it's just one of them things that make you jump up again. What was that? There's nothing there. And this kept going on and kept going on, and I didn't know what to do, and I started thinking. Here's the other thought. It kept wanting me. What's up, Long? How you doing? It kept wanting me to feel abandoned. The reason that I made that video is, one, I mean, I was obviously scared, but two, uh, I had been asking for forgiveness for some stuff that happened earlier that morning. The night before, I got to drinking a little bit. I went to a Saints game. My landlord said, "Hey, I got some tickets. Let's." All right. I mean, oh, you talking to her? I got some tickets and to go with my landlord, and it's in a nice box seating, not like in the big box, but up there where it's, they're like season lifetime tickets. You have to wait for them, and it was a blessing to go there, and I saw, I was looking at the whole thing spiritually, focused on when they play certain songs, because they're only a few seconds long, but that's another conversation. I was looking at the atmosphere there, and but I was drinking, because I went there, I wanted to have a good time, and it wasn't necessarily that I thought that the drinking is a sin. I don't want to promote that because there are spirits within them, but here's how it affects me. I don't struggle with like any sort of sexual immorality in general, but for whatever reason, it's like when I wake up the next morning in that state of not quite hungover and not really drunk, then it's just like if some sort of sin enters my mind, I'm just like, whatever, and instead of rebuking it, and I have no, and I just find that interesting. Sure, people will get drunk, go to a bar, and sin with other people, but generally, like, watching those type of films and stuff is not my thing. But the reason I mention all that is because this kept reminding me of that and reminding me of that. How you doing, Lynn? And it was like telling me that I just wasn't going to be forgiven. But it was doing it in a way. It wasn't saying it that simply. It was like there were little cues, and I would try and turn on. I was watching Watchmen TV, and well, it's nothing that he did. He was doing something. It was a message that I needed to hear, and it used something. He was talking about reading your Bible every day, and he said something about, well, you've already put up with it enough. And it was like that. I know that sounds like a schizophrenic, right? It's not that I thought that he was talking about me, but it was like there was a demon that kept, it used that portion of him talking about being tired of putting up with certain things, and it's like that's how God feels about you, about what you did. He's not going to forgive you, and when I'm saying it out loud, it sounds goofy. It sounds so goofy, but it was able to promote a spirit of fear, and then I went on there and I said, look, I don't know, I don't know what to do. I've already prayed against it. I've already told it everything and tried to speak up in authority, but it was coming from a place of fear. Um, so I was. It's like when you have a teacher at a school that is your authority figure, but you can kind of walk over them, and I guess that's what they were doing to me. These things just would not stop. Um, and and yeah, Ron was nice enough to allow me to give him a call and kind of talk to me about it. I think just being able to speak with somebody really helps. So I appreciate that, brother. Um, because I'm generally not like I don't let these things walk on me. I guess it had deceived me in such a way that I didn't consciously understand that I was believing a lie that was being told to me. I was thinking that I don't know. It was just the feeling of despair and anxiety. It was using a spirit of anxiety that, I kept rebuking it when I saw it. I knew it couldn't touch me, but it just continued, and there was something anxious that was being riled up and stirred up, and then eventually I was overcome with fear, and I didn't know what to do. Um, I'm obviously okay, and it haven't. I've seen the lights flickering and all that. Since and after everything calmed down, which they don't do that here. That's another thing where I was like, well, that's got to be a part of it because it's just not a coincidence. It's one of those things. Um, but other than that, I found it odd there was a meteor shower last night. I don't know if there's any connection with it. There's all kinds of a rabbit hole you can go in as to what meteors are and all that. But I don't know. It may not be a connection at all. But it was at the height of a meteor shower, and I generally don't have this sort of spiritual activity around my house. Um, not that I can see. It's Long Reach One said it's a poltergeist, like with a question mark. Generally no, but I think because I gave it the power later on, it was able to it didn't wrinkle the receipt, but it did move it enough to where you could hear the crackling of the paper, and then it grabbed the cord and moved it across the table, and that does not happen here. And what a great way to promote fear, and then the whole, something's trying to choke you while you're sleeping. I mean, it was as soon as I shut my eyes, and when I heard the receipt wrinkle, my eyes shot open, and I saw the cord being pulled towards me, and I jumped up, and yeah, I don't know, that freaked me out. Y'all heard of archons and or shadow people? Yes, I've seen them all the time. Um, how's it going, Christopher? Yeah, it's one of the things I was mentioning to everyone earlier. They seem. I don't want to say I've noticed a correlation. There's a ton of different ways that signs and symbols can mean different things, but I kept thinking back as I was just kind of going over in my head everything that I saw. Um, these things were nothing new to me, but what I was telling everyone else is there seems to be a dark, shadowy one. That's your shadow people. One sort of made of light. It moves faster than really anything else. And then one that looks like a ghost, like a spirit. It all may be the same thing, but to the signs and symbols, I was just thinking why they use black and white so much in Masonic temples and all that. And I don't. I mean, they could probably use that as deception to be like, oh, the light is here to fight and it's like the same band of demons being like, well, now we've got him because he's gonna look to the ones that look like lights. And I think that whatever this is, they know that I'm beyond that, so they weren't trying to. It was trying to, but it was just a mass of three different types of visual things. Whenever the stuff moved on the table, I did not see anything move it. It just clearly by itself jerked over. Um, the but the I guess because they're dark, the shadow beings always feel like the most just like you don't want to be around them. But I don't. it's all the same thing. Like maybe they're different, but they're cousins. Like they're in the same family. Um, and I really think that that other video that I made had a lot to do with it. Another another YouTuber hit me up on Hangouts and said, like, I've gotten some of the same. I actually more than one person, but another YouTuber was like the same individual that you were saying sent you a random message that would just seem like gibberish to everyone else is doing the same thing to me, and talking about how I dress and talking about decisions I'm making, and it showed me examples. You know, I don't know how it relates to his life, but he does, and and it's I forget the guy's name. I could probably find. I don't want to look over and pay attention to my TV. There's a guy that talks about demons. It was done in the 70s, I think. What's up, Jimmy? Um, and and he says, you know, demons are people, which we know that disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. Um, but but the way that he describes it, and he says, once you know that you're dealing with a person, you're dealing with a personality. Now, that's not the same thing as a spirit or a principality, and I'm kind of working on that. I see the principalities as like that. Well, no, the spirit would be like the spirit of anxiety that came over me. I believe, yes, I think so. Chuck Misler. I think that's his name. I just didn't want to say it because he's an older fella, and he's got a ton of content that he recorded before YouTube was the thing. But they all work together. The emotions that they use, where they will send, like he talks about a demon of rage, but there would be a spirit involved in that trying to produce the rage in you, and they all work together. So it was using anxiety and fear over me to I don't know. I guess I really think it was like a testing ground. I don't, you know, like maybe yes they get enjoyment on it, and they feed off of the fear, but they're trying to see what works. There's that introduction that I did. I do need to. I've been going back and forth with trying to focus on the musical side of it, just to show, because it's in their words and they're singing about, you know, the occult the entire time, and much more, many more songs, excuse me, that we listen to than you realize. They I'd take it back to Breaking Benjamin, because that's the easiest one. You can literally look up any one of their songs at random, and you can clearly see that it's the Antichrist spirit. It's not as blatant as Marilyn Manson on stage giving you a show of what he looks like. Um, there's a song called "I Will Not Bow" by Breaking Benjamin, because every knee will bow, every tongue confess, right? And the beginning of the song, he screams "fall," and he starts talking about leaving the world colder and making destruction, and it just, music speaks to me. I feel the spirit of their poetry if I listen to it, so I do go back and forth and have to be careful with it. But I can just clearly see the Antichrist spirit singing that song. Like it's weird how it's not really weird. I guess it's a blessing, but sometimes I can feel the pain too, and some of the stuff that they don't enjoy when they sing about it. But God gives me the ability to see what they're talking about, and it's hidden in entertainment. Um, this might be a little more controversial, but and I was gonna include it in the video. But when Chris Pratt did his interview, not interview, he did that speech on the MTV. He did not mention Jesus Christ. What he mentioned was that, like, the freedom that we serve in this country. I hate to misquote him, but he said, "What you have a freedom that's been paid for with someone else's blood," and he's talking about the spiritual. And it's because there's been some other stuff where they said, well, they edited some of it out because you can see a clear cut. Maybe he did. I don't know, but there's got to be a reason. Like, why not? I don't. The way that he made his speech. It's created in a way And then I saw a newsreel where there was a lady going, "That's amazing that he talked about his faith in Jesus," but I haven't seen this man profess that, and I'm not judging him per se, but that's a great example of how it's done. If they can make everyone else believe that what a person's saying is said in such a way that they automatically think, if I said praise God, you would automatically think that I'm talking about the same God that you're talking about, right? I mean, maybe not always now, but and, I'm sorry, maybe not me, but you get what I'm saying. In Hollywood, if someone went praise God, you get it. And so when he said that your sins were paid for in someone else's blood, I just got a really weird feeling about it, like really, really weird. Um, and I wanted to dig into it and research it more about. It's something to do with human sacrifice. I don't know. I'm not judging him, and I know that sounds weird. There's many more reasons as to why I felt the way that I did when I saw that speech. But that's regardless. He may be talking about Jesus. He may be talking about something horrible. But I'm just saying, I'm using that as an example because he didn't necessarily say Jesus Christ. How our minds are being manipulated to him saying your sins are paid for by the blood of someone else, and we go, thank you Jesus, and it could have been a person talking. That's all I meant by it. Um, I forgot where I was going with the other thing. What was the next thing? Hold on. Let me go back in the chat. Sorry. I got a little lost on that. Russ Dizdar is really good. I've been trying to look into his to go to his website. I can't find. If you could help me out with that, if you know how to dig into his course stuff, I would love to take that, but I cannot figure out how to get into his content. If you know anything about it, Tom Dunn from Through the Black said Russ Dizdar has a lot of. It has a course on. I don't know if it's delivery ministry or fighting against kind of doing the same stuff that they do. Um, it is Ron, but I've been really wanting to dig it because I know the stuff that Russ does and how effective it is. I completely forgot. I was gonna go to the third thing that I was gonna make this video about. Not this video, but the little series that I'm doing. I was just trying to give examples. There's another song by Rise Against called Re-Education Through Labor. It's a rock song. I'll just go back to hopefully all the rest of it will come back to me. And when I hear that song, I hear him singing against God, like not the God of this world. Like I hear him talking. We crawl on our knees for you under a sky no longer blue. Chemtrails. We sweat all day long for you. Um, I forget that. Anyway, he starts. Man, I wish I had the lyrics in front of me. I'm afraid the live stream would shut off. If you look up the lyrics to the song, "Re-Education Through Labor," it sounds like the sons of the ones that are in working with the enemy, trying to fight against God's children. We all reap what we are due, or like you can if you just look at the lyrics, like there's pieces in there that looks like someone took a Bible and flipped it upside down, and they're like there's a spirit there, and I see it clearly. If I had them in front of me, I'd be able to explain it, but I'll probably explain it better in that video. But that's just another example where um, there's another one in there that in that same song that how you doing, Michelle? That has something to do with no rest for the wicked, and he doesn't say that exactly, but again, I'll explain it in that video. But that's just another example. It's kind of hidden. It's poetic, so you can't look at it like somebody saying that they're that they support like, hi, my name's Landon and I support Lucifer. They're not gonna do that. They're gonna they do it in a poetry, and God's given me the ability to at least feel the emotion behind that music, that the spirit on it. I don't think about the same things when I listen to Christian music as when I listen to that music, and I guess God has put up a wall to allow me to see it. And when it starts getting a little heavy and kind of overtaking me, I throw it away. It's not I don't listen to it for entertainment, but I pay attention to the thoughts that are going through my head when I hear those words and I hear that music. And then God allowed me to kind of feel the spirit of what's actually on it, not just what it does to me, but what the person who wrote it, And I know that that's uh, open to interpretation, but because I'm never gonna be like, is that, did you write it for the enemy? But I just feel it. I don't know. It's another one of those things. Like, I know that Jesus is real. I know that all, that what I feel about that is not my imagination. How you doing, Joan? Um, Something that really helped me. I stopped listening to secular music. Oh no, I agree. I don't listen to that music for like entertainment purposes because it makes me feel good. It is a spiritual study. I look at it like reading The Art of War. When I listen to music like that, especially Breaking Benjamin, you don't even have to read their lyrics. Just go to an album and read the names of the songs. When Angels Fall, uh, Dance with the Devil. It just keeps going and going and going. You get it. I mean, I could probably just stop by on those two, but it continues. Like there's more to it. They've got a new song that it starts with just thunder and lightning, and it's a slower song, but they're talking about the fall of humankind and fade away to the wicked world we left, and I become the dark of you. I don't know. Again, it's poetic. That's something I think I understand it, but it's not anything I want to get into here because I don't want everyone to either misunderstand me or not get the full picture because it's kind of deep. It's a spiritual thing. Uh, I do feel better today, Joan. Yeah, no, I'm blessed. It all kind of died down, and I finally went to sleep at about 4 o'clock in the morning and took a big nap today. Even I don't like certain music anymore. Last few months, yeah, I don't and the songs that I did like, I know I did a short. I included it, but the Garth Brooks "The Dance" does not sound the same to me at all. Not like it sounds like a crappier recorded version where he didn't hit the notes the way that he did in the early '90s. Well, thank you for. I was worried about me too. It's not. I was kind of going over that in the earlier parts of the video. There was this spirit that I don't think that I believed it, but I was acting on the belief or the feeling, not the belief, but the feeling that whatever this was trying to reach out and grab me, and that I wasn't. It was like it was trying to tell me that God had turned His back on me, and I don't believe that, but I was acting from the fear and anxiety of this being whispered in my ear and constant, just being in the feeling. It was a feeling that, but I didn't believe it. I guess that's why God knows the heart, because the whole time I'm talking to God when all this is going on, but it I don't know. It was stressful. It was stressful. Yes, sir. Forgot for a bit. Um, I cannot think. I guess I don't have to include that. I was gonna go into the third part of that video series of how I know. I guess I was just gonna give more examples of, but that's another video. I really just made this for to kind of explain like what it was that I went through, um, because it's so, I don't know. It's those beings are common like that. I know I said that earlier, but it's really I think I've experienced all that since far longer than I've had my YouTube channel. When I lived in that trailer and I first discovered the Mandela effect, and I was watching a lot of Rob Skiba. I was fascinated about his he's got stuff on the Nephilim and Nimrod that he's done at conferences, and I would watch those conferences over and over and over. And when YouTube wouldn't recommend me anything that I was interested in because I wasn't really in the community, I was watching a little bit of Dan the Scarab, but I hadn't. I don't even know if you could have. Yeah, was there a live chat back then, 2015? I don't know, but but I was watching a little bit about the Mandela effect. But I had so much demonic stuff going on. I was, when YouTube wouldn't put something new, I just watched the stuff that Rob Skiba did on Babylon Rising is the name of it, and that it's a 4-part series. I forget, but I was absolutely fascinated about that. How the Greek pantheon is probably closer to reality than we've been taught to believe. I personally believe, here's the gist of what he was saying, that all these people and Greeks, in Greece and Rome and all that, and they had all these gods that they built these temples to, and they put this mass production. And we're taught that, well, it's just a story because they wanted to explain how the world works. Well, they put a lot of effort and energy and sacrificing people, giving things up as a sacrifice, and sacrificing their own daughters to like the city of Corinth and stuff. Um, I personally believe that these things were real things, and that is the Nephilim. That's they had all these different, they had Apollo and all this and that, but they were here walking around. And it's my personal belief that when Jesus tore the veil, like all that was separated, and now we've been indoctrinated to think that all this history and all this stuff, you can still go to the Temple of Baal, however you want to say it, and all these other places, and that was just like their goofy beliefs. They didn't know what was going on, which really supports atheism. But when you dig into it, like the labyrinth over there in Crete, there's like, who spends the time to carve out a giant labyrinth that they would throw people, this is the story, that they would throw people into so the minotaur or centaur could eat them. And the fallen angels did breed with animals, so to have a half human, half bull, they would keep it there so they could put people in it. I believe that that's a lot closer to the truth than them just saying, well, they wanted to explain how the world works, so they built these temples and sacrificed to these idols. I think those idols were walking around before Jesus did what he did, and now they're stuck at a point where the only way that they can interact with us is similar to what was being done to me the other night. Yeah. Sorry, I'll go back to the. Well, thank you, Michelle. Trying to catch up. I can't read. I used to be good at it. I don't know why that I've lost that. You can talk to me and I can be thinking about a completely different thing and I can be working. But as far as reading and having and coming up off the top of my head, I can't do it. Can't do it. Used to could. What does McAllister TV? Oh wait, did you write further down? What did Joanne? Is it Joan or Joanne? I know you can't say it, so I'll just. Oh, okay. If you type it out, yeah. Uh, but what does that video pertain to? Much love to you all. Have a wonderful day. You too, Michelle. You're probably going now. Thankfully, you're doing better. Hi, all. That's why I listen to Party Puppies playlist. Positive vibes from my brother. Yes, I do too. I do too. I've downloaded some of the songs that he's revealed to me. What's up, Digi? I know I was supposed to come on this Friday, and I got so busy I didn't. Again, it was one of those. I went to a Saints game. Everything I wasn't expecting that. So. She's a YouTuber. It's about the false idols. She's great. I will check that out. I'm gonna have to go back up. What was it? I'll go back up later. I don't want to bore y'all. What's up, Laird? What is that? I can't tell. These icons are so small. So I am horrible at just talking and running it. So unless y'all have any questions or anything, I don't know. I'm just kind of out of stuff to say. But yes, I did. Yes, I did, John. Excuse me. Yeah, I went to the place that I'm at. I tell you what, we'll talk about this. Here's something I can go on for another 15 minutes. How I won't affect it. When it says, "You will be hated for my name's sake," yes, there are going to be people out there that are preaching against the church. You know, the way that we see them trying to take the Ten Commandments down and stuff like that. But I've gotten much more experience in people just not liking me. Some people talk about it as like the targeted individual thing, you know, whether you can see the Mandela effect or not. Um, but we've all, regardless, even, you know, we've all walked in a room and someone just did not like us. They did not like us at all. And they don't know anything about you and you've never seen them before, but there's just something about you that they cannot stand. And but it goes a little further than that. The reason I'm leaving the job that I'm at is because um, I was really kind of busting my behind, enjoying. I don't need somebody to pat me on the back and give me a hug and be like, "Thank you so much." But when I first got there, I was doing everything that I could, going trying to go above and beyond in a very very fast paced environment, moving 10,000 pound blocks. There's a forklift, but it's not a little forklift. Like this thing is giant, and there's people walking around and all that, and you have to stick to a schedule. Well, the people that were working on the ground just wouldn't communicate with me. They would talk, and they would say that I'm not listening to them. And I'm like, man, there's a diesel engine behind my head. I need you to use your hands. And so they started going to the supervisor and saying he's not listening, he's not listening. And one person kept getting a little heated. He couldn't. Me and him can't clearly communicate. Like he'll say turn your wheel instead of straighten your wheel when he meant straighten it up. And I don't know. One day he just got aggravated and exploded, threatened to fight me. So I said, okay, he's probably having a bad day. I kept it to myself. The second time it happened, he was trying to do it in front of people, and the boss walked up to me and was like, "What's going on?" I told him, and so I just thought he would be aware of it. The third time it happened, I'm like, I can't deal with it. It was once a month. It's like the third month that I'm there. Guy's threatening to fight me, and years ago I probably would have went straight at it. I'm a little cooler now, and just the fact that that anger probably would have got the best of me if God didn't have me in a humble position where I can't just leave and go get another job. I'll I'm just being honest, but I walked out. I was trying to get away from him, and I hopped on the radio. I wanted the plant to hear it. I was tired of dealing with it, and they moved me. They took me from my position and put me in a lower one. Um, I expected the guy to get fired. I don't have a problem with him. I have nothing against him. We get along fine now that we don't work in the same department, and I kind of joke around. But just given the situation, I'm tying this into being hated for his namesake. The way that this person was trying to provoke there were issues that we needed to deal with, and we couldn't communicate clearly. But trying to start a fight once a month, just with me, had it happened to anyone else, this not this person had anybody tried to start a fight with anyone in that area, the other person would have been fired. They would, it's unprofessional. You don't do that. And then the guy took me, put me in a lower position. I started getting discouraged, but I kept working hard. Working hard. I developed a friendship. There's about two days a week that I kind of need a ride home. I live about 3 miles from where I'm working at, and it wasn't really a problem. And this person, I got along with him great. I would go above and beyond. Now I'm a ground man, and I'm doing all this stuff and kind of going out of my way because I developed a friendship with him. The only like physical friend that I have is Chop, and so it's really, you know what I mean. You got a buddy, you get along with him, you talk with him, and y'all can joke around. You just kind of, you know what I mean. And and the guy starts. He would call me to come and help him because he knew that I was more than willing. But he started going to the boss and telling him like, just. And I'm hearing this from other people. There are people. The guy that tried to fight me came up to me, separate from other people who I would have trusted, worried about whether he had an angle or not, saying, "Dude, trying to get you fired, bro. Look out." And he had already come over to the house and hung out, had a couple beers, chit chatted. I mean, we hung out outside of work, and so I'm taking it back to just being hated, when he said, "You will be hated for my name's sake." It's not even about the it's not that I'm over there preaching or any, it's as a matter of fact, I discuss openly. I'm never like oppressive of like your beliefs are wrong or anything like that, or even people that are living in sin, and they go to ask me questions, and I answer them coming from a place where I'm not judging them, um, because nobody. If you think about all, I just go back to Bourbon Street. If you think about all those people for all those years that go to Bourbon Street and they're like, "You're going to hell. You're going to hell. You're gonna burn," and they're trying to deliver it with love. But if you went up to someone and told them that their lifestyle was wrong, but the Jesus that you serve could fix them, they're not gonna accept that. You have to. This is what I do, especially talking with. There are people that I work for. There are people I do business with that are homosexual, and I come from a place of, do you have a relationship with Jesus? I'm not worried about that's none of my business. That's on them. That's their lifestyle, and it's not my business to judge them for what they do. But what I focus on is, because I know how many people have went and told those people that they're going to hell. Well, do you have a relationship with Jesus at all? There's no conversion therapy that's going to stop whatever is oppressing them and having them believe that these feelings that they're having are the thing that's me. It's the way. It's if you have the relationship with Jesus, then He'll work on it. And it just, you know what I mean. You can't judge those people and make them feel like you're better than them, even if you don't feel that way. That's how it psychologically looks. Um, but but there are spirits out there. Back to the hated for my namesake thing, making people that develop relationships with me and I get along with great. One guy tried to fight me. That's fine. There's always going to be people out there you're butting heads with. But for someone to develop a friendship and then run behind me, I'm like, that's a spirit of a serpent if I've ever seen one. And I'm not saying that he's a snake, but there's something spiritual there. That's just not normal human behavior to develop. I mean, and that's where psychology destroys looking at things the way that they did in Jesus's time. I'm fairly certain that in the time of Jesus, when he was well, maybe not. He had to come at just the right time when everything was a mess. But the point that I'm making is there had to have been a certain time in history where they looked at stuff spiritually and said, that's not this person, that there's something on them, because that's not human behavior. And the reason I made the comment with psychology is because they're like, oh, that's a sociopath. No, it's a spirit. But that's the way that we're taught to think about it. That's the whole thing behind these people that are now promoting uh, not I don't want to say child predators, but they're trying to divide between a child predator and someone that likes children. Well, if you just like children, it's perfectly okay. Don't act on it. You were born that way. No, you weren't. Anyway, that's another. It makes me sick to my stomach. But I'm just using that as a firm example of the psychology that they're pushing to be like, that's just the way your brain is. It's okay. Well, apparently there's just demons living in your brain. You get it. We war against the spirit behind the persons, not the person themselves. Yes, sir. I do too, Joan. I pray to keep them away from me. I honestly believe that I don't think anyone I don't think any encounter is an accident. Something is subtle. It's gonna kind of sound like I'm rambling, but I was studying Italian a lot, and there was something on there that hopped on there. I kind of think it was AI. It was a spirit because when I say it out loud, it's gonna sound so dumb. I had an app on my phone teaching me Italian for free. I was getting up there, and I was trying to get this little coin. It's like something that you get whenever you're like the top person. And this person would come in and faster than anything, like it wouldn't matter how quick I would get up just to be able to get that one coin that week. Um, and they kept it was something electronic. It was moving so fast, and they would do that every week, just get right above mine. And I had started talking with them. I was like, fine, you could have it, and they just kept doing that. And so I started. There was something in the spiritual side of it where I'm like, I see that these little demons are trying to discourage me for whatever reason, just to keep me dumb or whatever, and not to know a second language. And I was like, you know what, fine, you can have it. I'm not even interested in it anymore. I was dealing with other stuff at the time, but that's probably not the smartest thing to. I analyzed it and looked at it like, what am I? Where's this going? I don't really feel led to by God. This is a hobby of mine because I want to know Italian. But anyway, so I go to the Saints game and I'm walking around and these two Italians walk up behind me. It's a couple and they're talking and I can make I didn't understand everything that they were saying. But I don't think that I don't know, maybe that was something saying like, hey, get back on it. I don't think that any encounter whatsoever with anyone is just random or by accident. There has to be a reason, even if it's just for something to be like to remind me of that. You know what I mean? And now that I say that out loud, to get an electronic emoji, um, or a little gold coin, whatever you want to say, and then just be like, well, fine, you can keep it. It's dumb, but oh, and yeah, I was gonna go back. So I bring all that up to say because Joan said I pray to keep them away from me. There are individuals that probably someone else couldn't deal with, um, that I can. And I really, truly believe before I got in the trouble that I got in when I was 18, I wanted to be a sex crimes detective and try. I just looked at it like evil. I don't even think I obviously wasn't a Christian. But I just it's the easiest way to look at physical evil manifesting. Um, because it's just horrible, horrible stuff. And and I honestly think that it would have been my undoing had God or the enemy allowed me to do that. Because of the spirit of rage having to deal with. I mean, maybe not. Maybe God would have led me. But if God wanted me to do that, that's what I would be. Um, but but I'm not one of those people that can be around. There are people that are professional detectives that can speak with that sort of thing, and there are others that work in psychology and try and help them. If we only had more deliverance ministry, that they would be open with them. But it's not. That's something that would make me violent, and the only point that I'm getting at. I'm just being real with you, that there's a reason why God did not allow me to go into that arena because I would have blood on my hands. I think in the back of my head, like I was thinking about that. Like I really was and I was perfectly okay with that, because I felt justified in in harming someone that harmed children or women in that sort of way. Um, I was I was a gang member when I was younger, and I kind of haven't talked about that because I don't see. I don't know if God opens it up and I haven't like hid it away from anybody. I'm sure that's kind of hard to picture with the way that I'm put together. But I walked and talked different. Maybe it was a spirit, But my entire personality was different. From the age of 14 to about 22, I was a full Seven Deuce Mafia Crip. Blue. I didn't have all the tattoos. I had a tattoo on my ankle that I covered up, but I mean, I was a gang member, and I always felt justified in that, as long as I'm only hurting other gangsters and bad people, then it's completely okay. Like I felt completely justified in that there was nothing immoral about me uh, being violent towards other gangsters and get because that was one of my things was like I would hear you when you're in that lifestyle you watch a lot of stuff on from things like Boys in the Hood but like documentaries on what's going on in California and Tookie Williams, who was the guy that made the Crips, um, and how all these kids are getting shot in drive-bys and stuff like that, and it really hurt my heart, um, because I couldn't hurt what would be an innocent in my mind, someone that wasn't immersed in that lifestyle. Um, and I really think that I just wanted a brotherhood to belong to. There was a lot of I had a lot of messed up. I had no sense of family whatsoever, and I just really wanted brotherhood and that close sense of someone that was like tied to you like family, and that was the only means that I saw to get it. You move to a city like Houston, and you can get away. I mean, you can literally commit crimes, turn a corner, and the cops they can't find you because there's so many people. It's so big. And as a 14-year-old, you're not. That was another thing. I was very deceptive. I put on a polo T-shirt, fresh haircut, nice smile, and I did not look like a gangster. So there was never. They would just breeze past me. It just But you were saying you were born that way. About the kids in class. Oh, no, Laird. Jesus. Sorry, excuse me. um, no, 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 no. Yeah, anyway, there are no coincidences. Don't think it. So, yeah, I don't really know where I was going with all that. I just kind of kept rambling. But look, yeah, I guess I'm gonna go. I gotta start cooking and all that. I did not get my house in order last night, obviously, because I'm just walking around chasing weird things. But look, I appreciate all of your support and all your prayers. Um, and thank you, Ron, for that kind of phone call and get your mind right. I guess I do ramble. I ramble without realizing that I'm rambling, and then it just keeps. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Look, y'all have a wonderful night. I'm sure I will be somewhere on YouTube. I just don't like the limelight. So yeah. Thanks everybody. Thanks for showing up. Y'all have a good night and God bless.